built the East Lents Floodplain project to help provide some flood storage. Johnson Creek has been known as a place that has frequent flooding for decades, way back since before the 1930s. People have been trying to figure out how to help manage some of the damage that happens when Johnson Creek floods. And the approach that we took with this project was to create area near the creek in its natural floodplain so that when Johnson Creek rises to high levels during storms, it has a place to come out of its banks onto the floodplain. And this was a residential neighborhood probably developed between the 1930s and 1940s. There were about 60 homeowners that lived in the area, despite the fact that Johnson Creek would flood on average about every other year. So starting in about 1996, after some large floods, at that time we started our Willing Seller program. And over the course of about 15 years or so, we purchased properties from folks, allowed them to move out of harm's way, and gradually just land banked the properties until we had an accumulation enough to do the project.
Vegetation that our re-veg group plants will completely cover all the stream banks, and it'll stabilize the stream. And that's what we're working towards, is not only flood mitigation, but stream bank stabilization and fish habitat. The WPA, which was the Work Progress Administration in the 1930s, was designed to move the water through the Johnson Creek area faster per design, thinking that that would eliminate the flooding. But all it did was have a flushing effect, and it eliminated a lot of the fish habitat and the wildlife habitat. So what we now have are a lot of opportunities to reuse and recycle the WPA rock, which is beautiful rock, and we have a pile of it here. And we use the rock for building bollards, for safety, to keep the traffic out of the trail areas. We use the rock for ballast to keep the logs in place. We reuse the rock for soft spot excavation. Instead of bringing in quarry rock, we reuse the rock.
It's also a really important project in terms of the fish and wildlife habitat that it provides. Many folks don't realize that we have always had resident runs of native salmon in Johnson Creek. And we're very excited to see that they're coming back in real numbers, and I think it's in large part due to several of the restoration projects that we've already done, and we expect to see some great results in terms of the way fish use this particular project as well.